Morning Kerbonauts, I'm Nightjade and I'm back in 0.90 beta than ever. I'm going to be continuing what I've done previously in Kerbal Space Program, that's looking for Easter eggs. I'm using a variety of mods for this, such as visual enhancements. I've got laser system in top right, but most importantly I have ScanSat, and description to all the mods I am running is in the description below. So first thing I've got to do is look for said Easter eggs using ScanSat. That is for the physical in-game ones anyway. To do that, I'm going to launch a scan satellite on a Vixen 2. The Vixen 2 is essentially a spiritual successor to the Vixen 1 that I used at least a year ago previously, in that it's essentially a long-range intra-exoatmospheric aircraft. Takes off at about 100 meters per second on the runway, whereas the Vixen 1 was a rocket-assisted aircraft that took off from the pad over there. Due to the nature of the mission, it will be going into a polar orbit, so I'll have to turn it to the north or south. Personally, I prefer going to north, but that's just a personal thing. So, phase 1 of the climb, it's got to be near vertical. These aircraft have an absolutely perfect safety record. There have never been any cases of a Vixen 2 ploughing into the side of a mountain as a result of a faulty probe release procedure, and Jeb absolutely adores it. Bill, on the other hand, isn't so convinced by the completely perfect safety record, and I'm not trying to cover up the death of Ludley Kerman. 15 kilometres up, levelling out to about 30 degrees to get some more horizontal speed, up to about a nautical mile per second, which is 1.852 kilometers per second. Lost number 2 engine, again, hardly a surprise, so I'll switch to the exo-atmospheric mode. Now at the upper axis, get pointing in prograde, engines to full power, and the orbit is done. There we are, 81 by 80.5. Inclination's about 5 degrees off, and an eccentricity of 0.0007. I am satisfied with that. So let's get the cargo bay doors open and launch the probe. That's the probe launched. Solar panels extended, and start the radar scan. Now all that's left to do is bring the Vixen 2 back home. Once over the South Pole, I'll begin the deorbit burn. So retrograde. And let's deorbit this thing. And it's back inside the atmosphere. Okay, below 1 kilometer per second I can manoeuvre the aircraft at this speed. So let's get it heading towards the KSC ILS number 1, which will take me to the west end of the runway. That is if I don't lose control first. Stand by. Uh-oh. So let's get rid of more speed. And there we go. Back under control. Perfectly safe aircraft. Kerbal Space Center control, Vixen 2 inbound, 100 miles to run, 2 persons on board. Vixen 2 20 kilometers to the west, long final 409. 3 kilometers to run. 1 kilometer to touchdown. Over the runway threshold. And retarding. Not retarding, the aircraft is too light compared to the size of the wings. Oh, stop it. I want you to land. Tails down, nose contact. Brakes on, and that is a Vixen 2 Block 10 IFR mod. Landed. Now I've got satellites in orbit. We'll go look for the first few Easter eggs while waiting for the ScanSats to complete their mission. I'll be using the rocket-powered VTOL to get to the first two because they are actually pretty close. The first one I found by accident after a shuttle launch. I believe a variant to the Vixen 1 sort of went wrong, as Kerbal Space Program tends to. Alright, that is definitely it. Definitely the first one. It's also definitely buried, which it never used to be. So let's try and land this thing. There we go. And we've gone past it. So I'll get out and I'll plant a flag on it. I christen ye Easter Egg 001. Another rocket-powered VTOL again. And taking off. Might as well put stability control on. Gear up, though that'll be going down again soon. And off to the KSC. At about this speed and altitude. There we are. Brakes on. Out you get, Jeb. Easter Egg 002. High shock while you. Memorial 1. Alright, Jeb, let's get you back to the KSC. And for the last flight today, Bob and Jeb will be flying the Duca to a couple of miles off the shore. So full power and away we go. Stabilizer on, gear up. Okay, about half a kilometre to go, gear down and locked, green. Let's get this going up a little bit, I don't want to strike the end of the ramp. There we are, nose down. All three gear down. And the aircraft has fallen over, but this isn't a very good one then, so I'll just taxi it over there. Jeb, I want you to go to the top of this tower and plant a flag. You might have a little bit of distance to walk there. Plant flag. I name this EE-003 Field 2. Alright, Bob, let's go over to hangar the closest. And oh look, it's some old spare parts from about 3 years ago. I wonder how they got here. Were they stolen? Perhaps reverse engineering? Corporate espionage perhaps? Or maybe they were illegally recovered by a clandestine organisation after a ship crashed somewhere. Either way, I'm going to name this EE-004 Memorial 2. And now let's go over the coordinates for all of the Easter eggs. Firstly, there is the memorial at the KSC and the monolith on the peninsula. Then you have the airfield on the island with the stolen parts. Thank you for watching this little Easter egg video, and I'll see you next time.